Hello, welcome to Tots News.
First, we go to a story by Jake Parker concerning two serious diseases diminishing our troops, malaria and yellow fever.
Then, we go to a story with Alyssa on the horrors of trench warfare.
After that, we go to Curtis Lamp with a story that's happening in China, the Boxer Rebellion.
Then we go to Tony with an important story on the historic journey of the Great White Fleet.
We have just received new information regarding the infection killing all of our troops in Cuba. Two diseases known as yellow fever and malaria are both life-threatening conditions, both of which are found to be transferred by mosquitoes. We now go to Jake on this interesting story.
Two new epidemics have spread across the Cuban front, causing soldiers to drop like flies. The first of which, known as yellow fever, is a life-threatening disease. Cuban doctor Carlos Finlay has discovered this terrible plague is transferred through the bite of a mosquito. Once infected, the host of this virus has slim chance to live. Yellow fever replicates itself in the regional lymph nodes of those infected and spreads via the bloodstream. It is known to attack the bone marrow and important organs such as the kidneys and the liver. Resulting in the infection, the host could experience hemorrhagic fever and another disease known as hepatitis. The disease results in jaundice, also known as discoloration of the skin and eyes. Most seem to believe this horrible occurrence started in Cuba, but reports done on it beg to differ. It's believed that yellow fever was transferred from Central to Eastern Asia and parts of Africa during a slave trade. The virus, as well as the vector known as A. aegypti, was most likely brought after the year 1492 by ship. While this is true, the first outbreak of yellow fever hadn't occurred until 1648 near Yucatan. Symptoms of this disease include fever, chills, weakness, loss of appetite, and vomiting, just to name a few. Experts say this disease is also going to be used as a potential biological weapon during warfare. Another disease known as malaria is also known to be spread by the bite of a mosquito. This disease is quite similar in regards to symptoms and consequences. Young children and pregnant women are especially susceptible to the conditions of this disease. Conditions of the most extreme severity include coma and death. More mild symptoms include fever, shivering, joint pain, vomiting, anemia, and convulsions. Starting in the Middle East, this disease has spread to Europe and here in North America. While scientists are looking for a cure to these horrible occurrences, there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. Reporting for Tots News, I'm Jake Parker. Back to you, Curtis.
A trench is a ditch or cut in the earth used to serve as a shelter from enemy fire or attack. Trench warfare, although a good tactic, holds many serious downsides. Different parts of the fighting technique are more dangerous than others. Alyssa Stewart has the latest concerns about our soldiers using trench warfare.
Trench warfare is extremely dangerous, but if used carefully, it can be a great advantage. Soldiers dig zigzags so the trenches so much as 12 feet deep and fight with their best artillery rather than attacking opponents' lines. In war, a defensive doctrine was suggested that soldiers use 3 parallel lines connected together by communication trenches. The point of intersection was extremely important and had beforehand. In addition to these main trenches, temporary trenches called stacks were made out in the middle of no man's land. No man's land is empty land between the opposing soldiers' trenches. No man's land can be very dangerous if someone would decide to wander out of the land. This is because the enemy shot clear through a victim who was a gap in the sandbags, yet the victim cannot shoot with tons of ammunition. Although the dangers of being shot and killed instantly are high, the number one cause of death using this form of fighting is infections such as wild disease and trench foot. 15% of leg and 25% arm wounds kill soldiers, not because of the actual injury, but instead they die from open wounds becoming infected. Since trenches are dug deep, they hold a lot of water in them, and if stood in for a long time, they can cause trench foot. Trench foot rots away your skin from being submerged in coldness and wetness, along with being compressed materials such as socks or shoes. If treated fairly quickly, you can recover fully, though short-term extreme painful side effects may spring up spontaneously. Others are not so lucky. If your problem Our poor soldiers have gone to extremes, such as putting whale oil on pigs. They thought this would lock out the moisture, but instead they're fed back. They made the problem even worse by making their feet expirable. A better option to stop the terrible pain in the problem is to choose not to. Hopefully by educating the public about the problems facing trench warfare, we will continue to find better ways to lessen the death tolls and more. Alyssa, back to Cynthia.
People have been wondering why the Chinese have been organizing themselves into boxing clubs lately. We are now realizing that these clubs have not been for good sport. Someone must have made a translation error, because all of these groups, such as the Righteous and Harmonious Fists, have started attacking missions, Christian citizens, and other Christian establishments, like schools and hospitals. This is terrible, Curtis.
I know, Tony. The Chinese are calling for an expulsion of everything and everybody foreign. 239 missionaries have been killed already. Just last week, a mission from the Christian Missionary Alliance was attacked. 32,000 Christian citizens and foreigners have been killed by these groups. The rebellious groups, now being called the Boxers, practice a strange form of gymnastics and also take drugs. These people also believe that they are possessed by spirits that give them magical powers. Empress Bowager is on the side of the Boxers, but she is trying to get them focused mainly on destroying Christian missions. She told the people that bad things have been happening because people have been diverting from the traditional Chinese religion. This isn't the only support that the Boxers have been receiving. Vice King of Chile, Young Lu, and Prince of Peking, Town, have been encouraging the rebellion in hopes of getting power and support of the Chinese people. Emperor Yushen of China is all for inviting foreigners into China because he thinks that they will make China an industrial nation. The Chinese army also supports the rebellion because they are promised that if they help, they will be allowed to keep all of the possessions of the people they kill. One of those killed is Elizabeth Bingmark. Bingmark came to China in 1893 as part of a group called the American Alliance Mission. She was born in Dalmarna, Sweden in 1865. She was a woman with strong Christian values. She was so dedicated to helping the Chinese people that she was once quoted saying, "It's not easy for me to speak in Swedish, but much easier to speak Chinese." She and her entire family, husband and 2 children, were murdered by the Boxers. Back to you in the studio. There has been a fleet of United States ships sailing around the world for the past year, asserting their dominance. Yes, folks, the Great White Fleet is coming home.
Thanks, Curtis. The long-awaited return home of the Great White Fleet is finally here. It will be arriving in a port located in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Why is this trip so important? Allow me to explain. This trip started over a year ago on its journey across the world. President Theodore Roosevelt sent the order for the United States Naval Forces to trek around the globe. This showed the United States' naval dominance. The trip was not the only amazing aspect of this journey. As the name suggests, all of the ships, including the main fleet, were mostly painted white. The ships were not only eye-catching to the public, but it was also eye-catching to other naval powers around the world. The fleet of 16 main ships were broken down into 5 main classes of ship types. These were the Kearsarge, the Illinois, the Maine, the Virginia, and the Connecticut. These sailors cleaned and maintained each ship. The sailors' form of communication was revolutionary. The fleet had a very high-tech way of communication to keep each other on course and on time. They used a wireless telephone invented by an intelligent man named Dr. DeForest. It had a range of 75 miles and was essential to keeping the ships in constant contact with each other. Overall, the ships stopped at 20 ports located in 6 continents. They sailed over 43,000 miles and were joined by many Allied ships along the various legs of the journey. We have just received the news confirmation that the Great White Fleet had just arrived and docked in Hampton Roads, Virginia. This is truly a journey that will go down in history. Reporting for TOTS, Tony Farnham.
And that's all from TOTS News.